The massive alien ship blocked out the sun as it descended toward Earth. Its dark metal hull stretched for miles, casting shadows across entire cities. People on the streets below stopped and stared upward, their phones capturing humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Inside the United Nations building in New York, President Kim adjusted his tie with steady hands. He had been preparing for this moment ever since the deep space telescopes detected the alien fleet 3 months ago. The world's leaders had hoped for peaceful contact, but the aliens' approach suggested otherwise. The alien ambassador materialized, on the platform in a shimmer of blue light. Veltar stood nearly 8 feet tall, his grey skin covered in natural armor plates. 6 yellow eyes moved independently, scanning every corner of the assembly hall like a predator studying prey. His forearms ended in clawed hands that clicked rhythmically against his ceremonial staff. "Humans of Earth," Veltar's voice emerged from a small device on his chest, converting his alien language into perfect English. "I am Ambassador Veltar, of the Hegemony Council. Your world has been selected for integration into our empire." The assembly hall fell silent. Representatives from every nation held their breath as humanity faced its first ultimatum from the stars. Defense Minister Lee sat beside President Kim, his military training keeping him calm despite the magnitude of the situation. He had spent his entire career preparing for conflicts between nations, never imagining he would face threats from beyond the solar system. "Your species has exactly 72 hours, Veltar continued, his multiple eyes fixing on President Kim. "Surrender. All military installations, space stations, and naval vessels to hegemony forces. Accept our rule peacefully, or we will cleanse this planet of all human life." President Kim rose slowly from his seat. The eyes of 8 billion people were watching through live broadcasts around the world. "Ambassador Veltar, surely we can discuss peaceful coexistence. Earth has much to offer in terms of cultural exchange and scientific cooperation." Veltar's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "You misunderstand your position, human. This is not a negotiation. We have studied your primitive technology for months. Your largest warships are barely capable of leaving your atmosphere. Your orbital stations are simple metal constructs powered by nuclear reactors. You possess no weapons that could threaten even our smallest scout vessels." The alien ambassador began pacing across the platform, his clawed feet clicking against the marble floor. "In the past decade, the hegemony has brought 47 worlds under our protection. Some resisted initially. The longest resistance lasted 6 hours and 14 minutes before their capitals were reduced to glass." Around the assembly hall, world leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Prime Minister Yoon of South Korea whispered urgently to his aide. Chancellor Weber of Germany stared at her tablet, watching real-time reports of alien ships positioning themselves above major cities worldwide. "We need time to discuss your terms," President Kim said carefully, his diplomatic training keeping his voice steady. "Terms?" Veltar's 6 eyes all focused on Kim simultaneously. "You speak as though you have leverage. Our sensors have catalogued every military asset on your world. We know the location of every submarine, every aircraft carrier, every missile. Silo. Your most advanced fighter jets move at speeds our cargo vessels consider leisurely." Defense Minister Lee stood up beside the president. "What exactly does integration into your empire involve?" "Your military forces will be disbanded," Veltar replied without hesitation. "Your governments will report to hegemony administrators. Your resources will be harvested efficiently for the benefit of the empire. Productive humans will be relocated to serve useful functions. Those who resist will be eliminated." The aliens' casual mention of elimination sent chills through the assembled delegates. This was not the peaceful first contact humanity had dreamed of for generations. 2,000 miles away, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Park watched the proceedings on a massive holographic display. The bridge around him was unlike anything in Earth's known military inventory. Smooth walls curved upward into shadows, embedded with control panels that responded to thought as much as touch. "Sir," Captain Cho whispered, her voice barely audible above the deep humming that filled the vast chamber. "The alien fleet has positioned itself in standard invasion formation. Should we begin surface protocols?" Admiral Park shook his head, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. "Not yet, Captain. Let them finish their show of force. Let them believe we're as helpless as every other world they've conquered." Around them, the massive structure that had been humanity's most closely guarded secret for 50 years continued its patient wait. Miles of corridors stretched in every direction, filled with technology that combined human ingenuity with discoveries that predated recorded history. "Admiral," Lieutenant Hahn reported from his station, "alien scanning beams are passing directly. Overhead, they're detecting nothing but ocean floor." Park smiled grimly. "Good. Maintain stealth protocols. When we reveal ourselves, I want it to be the last thing they ever expect." Above them, the ocean continued its eternal rhythm, hiding humanity's greatest achievement in its dark depths. The ceremony took place exactly 72 hours after the ultimatum, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, where international waters stretched endlessly in every direction. Earth's combined naval forces had assembled in perfect formation, their steel hulls gleaming under the morning sun. Aircraft carriers from America, destroyers from Japan, frigates from Britain, and submarines from Russia floated in organized rows like toys arranged for inspection. Above them, the alien armada blotted out the sky. Hundreds of hegemony warships hung in the air like dark clouds, their sleek hulls pulsing with energy weapons that could vaporize entire cities. The largest vessels stretched for miles, bristling with technology that made Earth's most advanced. Fighters looked like paper airplanes. Ambassador Veltar stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Dominator, watching the human vessels below through the transparent floor. His 6 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he prepared to broadcast humanity's surrender to every civilized world in the galaxy. "Begin recording," he commanded his communications officer. "Let the galaxy witness another successful integration." The transmission began, carrying across space to thousands of worlds already under hegemony control. On planet after planet, conquered species would watch as Earth joined their ranks of the defeated. "Citizens of the galaxy," Veltar announced, his voice carried by quantum transmitters to the far reaches of space. "Today, you witness the fall of the humans, another primitive species that believed they could resist the inevitable march of progress." He gestured toward the human fleet below, his clawed hands moving with theatrical flair. "Observe their pathetic vessels, barely capable of crossing their own ocean without mechanical failure. Their largest ship carries fewer than 100 aircraft. Their weapons use chemical explosives that our shields can absorb without effort." Commander Nixal, Veltar's second-in-command, monitored the sensor readings from his station. The four-armed alien officer had overseen 17 planetary conquests, and this followed the same pattern as all the others. The defeated species always assembled their military forces for one final display before accepting their fate. "Ambassador," Nixal reported, "human fleet composition matches our intelligence estimates. No hidden surprises, no unexpected technology. Their strongest weapons cannot penetrate even our scout ship armor." Veltar's mandibles clicked with amusement. "Exactly as predicted. Continue the broadcast." He turned back to the galaxy-wide transmission, spreading his forearms wide. The humans believed their isolation would protect them. They thought the vast distances between stars would give them time to prepare. Instead, they wasted 50 years, building ships that burn fossil fuels and launch projectiles made of metal. On the human vessels below, sailors and officers watched the alien ships with a mixture of fear and resignation. Many had families back home, children who would grow up under alien rule. They stood at attention on their decks, maintaining military discipline even in defeat. President Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Enterprise, America's largest aircraft carrier. Beside him, Defense Minister Lee watched the alien broadcast with grim determination. Both men knew something the aliens did not, but the waiting was almost unbearable. "Sir," Captain Ryu whispered to President Kim, "are you certain about this plan? If we're wrong—" "We're not wrong, Captain," Kim replied quietly. "Trust in human ingenuity. Trust in what we've built in secret." Veltar continued his galactic broadcast, his voice growing more triumphant with each word. "The humans sent messages into space for decades, hoping to contact peaceful civilizations. Instead, they contacted us. Their radio signals led us directly to their world, like a beacon guiding predators to prey. But as he spoke, something changed. The ocean itself began to move in ways that defied explanation. Massive waves rose from perfectly calm water, forming spirals and patterns that had never been seen in nature. The human ships bobbed like corks as the sea beneath them churned with tremendous force. "What is happening?" Commander Nixal stared at his instruments in confusion. "I'm reading massive displacement signatures from deep ocean. Something enormous is moving beneath the surface." The alien sensor arrays, designed to detect threats across light years of space, suddenly screamed. With proximity alerts, every screen flashed red as readings appeared that their computers couldn't process. "Impossible," Nixal breathed, his 4 hands working frantically across his controls. "The mass readings suggest something larger than our entire fleet, rising from a depth of 15,000 meters. Veltar's broadcast faltered as he turned to his instruments. The confident smile faded from his alien features as he saw what his sensors were detecting. "That cannot be accurate. Check for equipment malfunction." But the ocean gave them their answer. The water began to part like a massive curtain being drawn aside, revealing something that defied every assumption the hegemony had made about human technology. First came the tip of a bow that stretched wider than their largest dreadnought. Then came sections of hull that seemed to go on forever, water cascading from surfaces that gleamed with their own inner light. The supercarrier rose slowly from the depths, its emergence creating tidal waves that rocked both the human fleet and the alien vessels above. As more of the massive ship became visible, the true scope of its size became apparent. It stretched beyond the horizon in both directions, its flight deck alone larger than most cities. Ancient human naval traditions were carved into hull plating that seemed to shimmer and shift, displaying symbols and text that changed languages. As observers watched, the ship's surface wasn't just metal, but something that appeared almost alive, responding to the sunlight with colors that had no names. "Alert status red," Commander Nixal shouted across the hegemony bridge. "All vessels, assume defensive positions. Unknown human ship emerging from concealment." But before the alien fleet could react, a voice echoed across every communication frequency in the solar system. It was calm, measured, and absolutely human, speaking with the authority of someone who had planned for this moment for decades. "Attention. Hegemony forces," Admiral Park's voice carried across space from the bridge of humanity's greatest secret. "I am Admiral Park of the United Human Starship Terra's Fury. You came to our world believing we were defenseless. You came here to conquer a primitive species. You chose very, very poorly." The alien fleet began to scatter in panic as the true scope of human preparation was finally revealed, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos as commanders realized. They faced something far beyond their understanding. Commander Nixal's 4 hands moved desperately across his control panels, but every reading defied logic. The massive human vessel floating before them seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. His most advanced sensors, capable of analyzing matter at the quantum level, returned impossible data. "The hull composition is shifting," he reported, his voice trembling with confusion. "Our scanners detect metals that don't exist in our periodic tables. The energy signature keeps changing, as if the ship is powered by something that bends the laws of physics." Veltar stormed across his command bridge, his 6 eyes focused on the tactical displays. "Run a complete system diagnostic. This must be sensor malfunction. No primitive species could build something our instruments cannot understand." "All systems are functioning perfectly, Ambassador," Nixal replied. "The readings are accurate. This vessel appears to be warping space-time around itself. Our targeting computers cannot lock onto it because it exists in a state of dimensional flux." The Terra's Fury hung motionless in the water, its impossible size making the entire hegemony fleet look like insects buzzing around a sleeping giant. Along its hull, patterns of light pulsed in sequences that hurt alien eyes to observe directly. The ship's surface seemed to ripple like liquid metal, constantly shifting between different configurations. "How is this possible?" Veltar demanded, his confident demeanor cracking for the first time in decades of conquest. "Our intelligence networks monitored this planet for months. We catalogued every military installation, every research facility. Every space program. Their most advanced rockets barely escaped their atmosphere. On the Terra's Furies bridge, Captain Min stepped forward from her command station. The neural interface embedded behind her left ear glowed with soft blue light. As her consciousness merged with the ship's vast computer systems, through cybernetic enhancement, she could process information faster than any unaugmented human, her thoughts moving at the speed of quantum calculations. "You made a critical error in your intelligence gathering," she said, her voice carrying across all communication frequencies to reach the alien fleet. "You observed only what we wanted you to see. While you spent the last 1,000 years conquering worlds with inferior technology, we spent 50 years studying something far more advanced than your empire." Admiral Park moved to stand beside her, his weathered hands resting on controls that responded to thought as much as touch. Around them, the bridge curved upward into shadows filled with technology that seemed to grow from the walls like living organisms. Holographic displays showed tactical information in 3 dimensions, while crew members with glowing neural interfaces worked in perfect synchronization. "I see, Ambassador Veltar," Park continued. "The Mariana Trench on our world held secrets older than your entire civilization. In 1987, our deep-sea explorers discovered something that changed everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The carrier's massive hangar bays began to open along its sides, revealing cavernous spaces that stretched deeper than should have been possible given the ship's external dimensions. Inside, fighter squadrons unlike anything in known space prepared for launch. The craft themselves seemed alive, their hulls shifting and adapting like the skin of some vast creature. "Impossible," whispered Nixal, staring at his displays. "Those fighters are changing shape as we watch. Their energy signatures match nothing in our databases." Pilot J sat in the cockpit of her fighter, the Shadowhawk, feeling the ship's consciousness merge with her own through quantum neural links. The craft wasn't just a machine, but a hybrid of human engineering and technology left behind by a species that had traveled between galaxies millions of years before the first hegemony world was even formed. "All pilots, this is Squadron Leader." "Kang," came the voice through their neural communications, "remember your training. These aliens think in 3 dimensions. We think in 12. Show them what humans learned from the ancients." The first wave of human fighters launched from the Terra's Fury, and immediately the laws of physics seemed to bend around them. They moved through space with organic fluidity, rolling and diving in patterns that made alien targeting computers crash from trying to calculate impossible trajectories. Fighter pilot Lee pulled her craft through a maneuver that took her ship briefly out of normal space-time, appearing behind an alien destroyer before its crew could even register her approach. Her weapons, powered by technology that converted pure energy into matter, tore through alien shields like they were made of paper. "Contact enemy destroyer eliminated," she reported calmly, moving to next target. Commander Nixal watched in growing panic as his fleet's most advanced warships found themselves helpless against human fighters that moved like ghosts through space. "Their craft are phasing in and out of our dimension. Our weapons cannot target something that exists partially outside normal space." The alien fighters scrambled to respond, launching from their carriers in desperate formations. But where hegemony, pilots relied on computer-assisted targeting and predictable attack patterns. The human pilots moved with enhanced reflexes that combined biological intuition with quantum-powered processing speed. Pilot Jun rolled her fighter, the Storm Raven, through a series of impossible loops that took her through the interior of an alien battleship without touching its hull. Her enhanced consciousness processed the ship's internal structure in microseconds, allowing her to fire precision shots that disabled critical systems without destroying the vessel entirely. "This is not warfare," Veltar breathed, watching his mighty fleet being dismantled with surgical precision. "This is something beyond our understanding of combat." Admiral Park's voice echoed across all frequencies, calm and implacable. "For 50 years we studied the technology left behind by the precursors. We learned that consciousness itself could be used as a weapon, that the boundary between thought and reality was far thinner than anyone imagined. While you conquered primitive worlds, we unlocked secrets that made your empire's technology look like stone tools." The human fighters continued their devastating assault, each pilot's expanded consciousness, allowing them to anticipate alien movements before they happened. They moved through the battle like dancers in a deadly ballet, untouchable and supremely deadly, proving that humanity had indeed learned from those who came before. The Terra's Fury's main weapon systems awakened with a sound that made reality itself seem to crack. Deep within the supercarrier's core, ancient power sources that had slumbered for millennia roared to life. The ship's hull began to glow with patterns of energy that hurt to look at directly, as if the vessel was channeling forces from dimensions beyond normal space. "Main cannon charging complete," reported Weapons Officer Han from his neural interface station. "Precursor energy levels at maximum capacity." Admiral Park nodded grimly. "Target their command ship. Let's show them what real power looks like." The weapon fired without sound, but the effect was devastating. A beam of concentrated energy that seemed to tear holes in space itself lanced out from the Terra's Fury's forward sections. The beam wasn't just light or plasma, but something that existed between dimensions, traveling faster than thought itself. Ambassador Veltar's flagship, the Dominator, had shields designed to withstand the combined firepower of entire planetary defense systems. Those shields lasted exactly 3 seconds against humanity's ancient weapon. The beam passed through the alien ship's defenses like they didn't exist, slicing cleanly through hull plating that should have been indestructible. "Impossible!" Commander Nixal screamed as his ship's sections began separating. "Our armor is made from compressed neutron matter. Nothing in the galaxy can cut through it." But the human weapon did exactly that, dividing the massive alien dreadnought into perfect segments that drifted apart in space. The cuts were so precise that atmosphere didn't even escape from the sealed sections, leaving the alien crew alive but completely helpless. Meanwhile, the fighter battle raged across 3 dimensions of space. Pilot Lee pulled her Shadowhawk through, a spiral that took her craft briefly outside normal reality. Her enhanced nervous system, upgraded with quantum processors, allowed her to think and react at speeds that made alien reflexes seem glacial by comparison. "Engaging enemy squadron," she reported through her neural link. 5 bogies at Mark 77. Her fighter moved like a living thing, bending and twisting through space in ways that alien physics couldn't explain. Where hegemony fighters moved in predictable straight lines and curves, Lee's craft danced through combat like water flowing around obstacles. An alien interceptor fired at her position, but she was already gone, having anticipated the attack 3 seconds before the alien pilot even thought to fire. Her return shot struck the enemy craft's engine core with surgical precision, disabling it without killing the pilot inside. Squadron leader Kang led his formation through an attack run that seemed to violate every law of physics. His 12 fighters approached an alien battleship from 6 different angles simultaneously, their quantum drives allowing them to exist in multiple positions at once. "Remember your training," Kang's voice echoed through their shared neural network. "We're not just pilots anymore. We're quantum warriors. Think beyond 3 dimensions." His pilots responded perfectly, their enhanced consciousness allowing them to coordinate attacks across multiple layers of reality. They struck the alien battleship from angles that didn't exist in normal space, their weapons finding gaps in armor that shouldn't have been there. On the Terra's Fury's bridge, Captain Min raised her hand as her neural interface glowed brighter. "Phase drives charging. Ghost Squadron ready for deployment." "Deploy all units," Admiral Park commanded. "Show them what happens when human creativity meets ancient wisdom." The carrier's hidden launch bays opened in spaces between dimensions. Out came vessels that existed only partially in normal reality, ships that could phase in and out of existence at will. These weren't just advanced human technology, but hybrids created by merging human ingenuity with precursor science that was old when the galaxy was young. The Ghost Squadron materialized throughout the alien formation like deadly phantoms. One moment the space around a hegemony cruiser was empty. The next it was filled with human ships that attacked from impossible angles before vanishing again. Pilot Cho commanded one of these phase fighters. Her consciousness expanded to perceive 12 dimensions simultaneously. She appeared inside an alien destroyer's bridge, fired a single precise shot to disable their command systems, then phased out before their security could even register her presence. "This is not warfare," whispered a surviving alien commander on an open channel. "This is magic. How do we fight enemies who exist outside reality itself?" The hegemony fleet, which had conquered 47 worlds without losing a single major vessel, found itself being systematically dismantled by forces they couldn't understand. Their proud dreadnoughts drifted helplessly in space, their crews alive, but their ships completely disabled by weapons that struck from dimensions they didn't know existed. Commander Nixal, floating in the wreckage of his command section, stared in horror at the tactical display. "Admiral Park," he broadcast on emergency frequencies, "what are you? What have humans become?" Admiral Park's voice came back calm and measured. "We became what we needed to become to protect our world. You wanted to see Earth's military strength, Ambassador. This is what humanity builds when we have something precious to defend." The surviving alien ships began a desperate retreat, their crews panicking as they realized they faced technology beyond their comprehension. But even as they fled, the Terra's Fury's sensors were already tracking their hyperspace signatures, following them across the galaxy itself. The age of hegemony dominance was ending, and the age of human protection was about to begin. The Terra's Fury moved through hyperspace like a ghost ship of legend, appearing at hegemony worlds faster than their quantum communication networks could carry warnings. At each star system, the massive supercarrier materialized from the void with the same devastating message that echoed across every frequency. "Citizens of the galaxy," Admiral Park's voice carried to planets that had lived under alien oppression for generations. "I am Admiral Park of Earth's United Fleet. The hegemony's reign of conquest has ended. Earth now stands as protector of the free worlds. The age of tyranny is over." The first liberated world was Zephyria Prime, a blue-green planet whose peaceful inhabitants had been enslaved for mining operations. When the Terra's Fury appeared in their system, the hegemony garrison fled without firing a shot. The human fighters that emerged from the supercarrier moved with the same impossible grace that had shattered the invasion fleet. But instead of destruction, they brought hope. Captain Min led the Liberation Force personally, her neural interface allowing her to coordinate with the planet's underground resistance movement. "This is Captain Min of the Human Liberation Fleet," she broadcast to the planet below. "Your chains are broken. Your world is free." The celebration that erupted across Zephyria Prime could be seen from orbit as cities lit up with joy for the first time in decades. But humanity didn't stop there. They established orbital defense platforms using hybrid human precursor technology, teaching the locals how to maintain and operate systems that would protect them from future threats. Engineer Yun worked alongside the Zephyrian scientists, showing them how to build quantum shield generators that could repel any invasion force. "The key is not just the technology," she explained through her translation device, "but understanding that defense is always stronger than aggression when you're protecting your home." Within a month, the Terra's Fury had appeared at 17 different hegemony worlds. Each time the pattern was the same. The human supercarrier would arrive, disable any military resistance with surgical precision, and then begin the careful work of rebuilding civilizations that had been crushed under alien rule. On Corvin 7, a desert world where the inhabitants had been forced to work in crystal mines, human engineers taught them how to build atmospheric processors that could terraform their damaged environment. Pilot J led fighter squadrons that hunted down the robotic overseers that had tormented the population for generations. "These machines were designed to break spirits," she reported to Admiral Park after disabling the last overseer robot. "The locals say they haven't seen their children smile in 20 years. That changes today." The most challenging liberation came at Nexus Station, a massive space platform that served as one of the hegemony's primary administrative centers. The station housed representatives from dozens of conquered species, all serving as bureaucrats in their own oppression. The Terra's Fury didn't attack the station. Instead, it simply appeared alongside it, dwarfing the artificial structure with its impossible size. Admiral Park requested permission to dock, and when the station's commanders saw what had happened to their fleets, they had no choice but to agree. "We're not here to destroy," Park announced as human Marines walked peacefully through the station's corridors. "We're here to offer choice. You can continue serving an empire that treats you as slaves, or you can help us build something better." The response was immediate. Species after species rose up within the station itself, throwing off their administrative chains and joining the human liberation effort. The hegemony's own bureaucracy became the instrument of its downfall, as freed worlds coordinated their independence through the very networks that had once enslaved them. In the Terra's Furies detention center, former Ambassador Veltar watched through a massive viewport as human engineers worked alongside aliens from a dozen different worlds. They were building a defensive platform that would protect 3 star systems simultaneously, using technology that combined the best innovations. From every species involved, Captain Cho stood beside him, no longer acting as his guard but as something more complex. The relationship between captor and prisoner had evolved into something resembling teacher and student. "I don't understand your species," Veltar said quietly, his 6 eyes tracking the construction work outside. "You possess the power to rule the galaxy. Your technology could subjugate every world we ever conquered, plus thousands more. Yet you choose to give that power away to others." "That's exactly why we have this power," Cho replied thoughtfully. "The precursors who left us their technology learned the same lesson millions of years ago. True strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down." Through the viewport, they watched as a young Zephyrian engineer worked alongside a human quantum specialist, both of them laughing as they solved a complex technical problem together. Around them, representatives from 17 different species contributed their unique knowledge to create something none of them could have built alone. Captain Min appeared in the doorway, her neural interface glowing softly as she processed reports from across the galaxy. "Admiral Park wants to see you, Veltar. We're approaching the hegemony's core worlds, and he thinks you might be able to help us avoid unnecessary bloodshed." Veltar stood slowly, his understanding of the universe fundamentally changed by everything he had witnessed. "You're asking for my help to defeat my own people?" "We're asking for your help to free your own people," Min corrected gently. "Even the hegemony citizens deserve better than living under a system built on conquest and fear." As the Terra's Fury sailed through hyperspace toward its next liberation mission, it carried with it something more valuable than any weapon. It carried proof that different species could work together as equals, that technology could be used to build rather than destroy, and that the strongest civilizations were those that protected the weak rather than exploiting them. The galaxy was learning humanity's greatest lesson. True strength doesn't come from the power to conquer, but from the wisdom to know when not to use that power at all. The end.